Okay, so I think what we're gonna do here is I'm just gonna go ahead and review a couple of trailers we had that were interesting. Oh, there's one I forgot actually. Can I grab that? Oh no, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, so there's one more I want to grab, but I have been. I also want to discuss the virtual game cards issue. That's just really annoying. Okay, first of all, everybody's golf hotshot. I don't care about this. So everybody's golf is really weird. Um, I don't want to address this because I'm sure some people might have been thinking. I've been talking about Kama a lot recently. Licensed by Sony Interactive Entertainment. So, everybody's golf is a Sony IP, and the first game in the series was made by Camelot. So that is something that people might bring up. The first game in the series was in fact made by Camelot. Camelot made the first Everybody's Golf game before they even got Mario Golf to begin with. And so I was concerned about that because my comparison was like, okay, Everybody's Golf. So that's like, what does what like they're not going back to Everybody's Golf, are they? Interesting enough. So other thing too is this was in the Nintendo Switch Direct, but this is a Sony IP. This is a Sony IP that's inside. It's on Nintendo Switch now. But it makes sense when you realize it clearly says right here licensed by Sony. So Sony has licensed this game, this IP. This is being made by no, sorry, this is not being made by Namco. This is being published by Namco. Namco is publishing this game. This is developed by Namco, but from what I've read, it's actually being made by Hyde. Hyde, they're a video game developer in Takadanobaba, Shinjuku, Tokyo, Japan. It's over for Disney's Tsum Tsum Festival, Haunted Dungeons, Hyaku, and more. And here we go. Everybody's Golf Hot Shots. Publisher Bandai Namco, incorporated Sony Entertainment, and developer Hyde have announced Everybody's Golf Hot Shots. So yes, this game is being made by Hyde. Hyde also made. They've also worked with Compound Heart in the past. They've also made. They also work on Tamagotchi Plaza. Apparently, I didn't know that. They're working on Tamagotchi Plaza. That was also in Tamagotchi Plaza. That's not Tamagotchi Life. Those are different things. They're based the same name though. Tamagotchi is based on the name Tamagotchi, but it's for Mii's instead. And Hyde also made Digimon Survive, and Digimon World. Did we Digimon World? As far as I read, they worked on Digimon Survive. Yes, okay, developer Hyde. Oh, okay. So Digimon World New Order, Next Order, the remaster, the new version reported by Hyde. So Hyde is really worked with Namco a lot. So yeah, it makes sense. This Everybody's Golf game is being developed by Hyde, not Namco. It's being developed by Hyde, and they're doing it for Namco. So Namco has licensed this IP out. They're producing the game. They're releasing one. They're releasing on Switch, PlayStation, etc. And Hyde is developing it. So that's how this game is working. The other IP that came out produced that was golf but was not Mario Golf was We Love Golf. That's different. We Love Golf was back on the Wii. On the Wii, they didn't produce any games other than We Love Golf and the new play control games for the two golf game, the Mario Golf and Mario Tennis for GameCube. So those are what all came out did on the Wii. And I think around that time is when they also did Dark Dawn. Dark Dawn came out not long after things like We Love Golf. I think people think that We Love Golf was them trying to steer away from Nintendo, but it didn't work. But yeah, that's all we have. We have Everybody's Golf. I just want to discuss that really quick and get that out of the way. Um, there's something else I wanted to grab here too, but I'm not seeing it really right away. Is it even here? Where's the Necrodancer? That's a fun. That's an interesting looking game. Here it is. Here it is. I want to take a close look at this game. This game was kind of fun. Wait a minute. Oh, okay. I was confused. He's already in his cloak right there. It's glowing yellow. I thought it might have been like a blonde girl, but it's not. And here's Puck right here. So I mean you can already tell that's Pac-Man. You can already tell that's Pac-Man, but Pac-Man in order was actually called Puck-Man. And because it looks like a hockey puck, I think. But this is kind of funny. It's a Metroidvania with it's a Metroidvania with Pac-Man references and Dark Ticket and Pac-Man. It's actually pretty funny. The dream looks kind of cool, but it's also like, why? Oh yeah, see here's the thing too. I mean, like right here. That like these paths here definitely look like the Pac-Man maze. So this is like heavily based on Pac-Man. That's pretty obvious, but and right here you actually have Pac pelts. There's some interesting character designs here too. Like, there's like really weird human characters here because Pac-Man in this game is actually some sort of like robotic orb. You're both going, aren't you? Operation Ragnarok. There's a giant one. Eat everything. That's interesting. Devour them? Consume them. Close enough. So yeah, consuming enemies is part of the whole mechanics of this game where you probably use those like upgrades and like. And of course, you're actually in a maze, and it's actually in a maze. It's kind of funny because, it's Pac-Man. Pac-Man's all about mazes, but it's called Shadow Labyrinth. And of course, another word for a maze is a labyrinth, or our name for the Pac-Man maze or labyrinth. So I really, it's an interesting way. Return press immediately to Sora's world. So Pac-Man is the apex predator, huh? July 18th. Okay. Yeah. This is a very interesting take on Pac-Man. It's kind of fun. The thing is, you could argue it's like one of these ridiculous, like over the top, dark reprisals of a classic IP, and there have been some like that were just not well done, like Mega Man Act Zero. But this is just it's basically a different IP that's just using Pac-Man as part of it. So it's kind of neat. It looks kind of like an indie. It looks kind of like an indie Metroidvania platform type game with combat thing. But of course, it's by Namco. Who's actually developing this? I think was maybe the case that Namco is licensing the characters. Let's take a peek. Shadow Labyrinth. No, it is done by Bandai Studios. Okay, so that's not correct. The game was informed by release of the secret level episode Circle, which was the Circle, of course. And it was so it's promoted a secret level episode Circle. And then it was then further announced the Game Awards 2024. I know that's my thought was Game Awards 2024. I know about it before then. Yeah, so this is intended to actually be a Pac-Man game, but it's just an alternate take on it, and it is developed by actual Namco developers. So it's not like this is an it's not like the situation like Kansas Hyrule where it's an indie who's licensing the game out. This is actually Namco produced game, but they're developing it like a big old Metroidvania style game. So that's pretty cool. Tomodachi Life. I don't care that much about Tomodachi Life, but I have done some research on this and Tomodachi Life. Tomodachi Life. Tomodachi Life. April 18th, 2013 in Japan. And North America, June 6th, 2024. 2014. So it's been 11 years since Tomodachi Life. And it was not ported either, so that's interesting. Oh, wait. Oh, there was another one. Okay, I was wrong. In 2009, there was Tomodachi Collection. Tomodachi Collection, however, was only released. Okay, so Tomodachi Collection was released on June 18th, 2009, but it's Japan only as on DS. So I was wrong. There was in fact another Tomodachi game. There's Tomodachi Life. Sorry, there's Tomodachi Collection, Tomodachi Collection New Life, which is Tomodachi Life, and then of course now we have Tomodachi Life Living the Dream, which is 11 years after Tomodachi Life on 3DS. So, and not even then, that's just an announcement. Actually come out next year, so it's actually 12 years after the original release, or 13 years after the Japanese release. That's a long time. Yeah, I've seen people saying, "Oh, they're bringing back class franchises." I'm like, well, I mean, Tonight Life is it really a franchise? And I guess it kind of is because there wasn't an original game before that one. Um, but it's not that old either. It's 13 years old. It's pretty old, but you know. But they did bring back F Zero last year, sort of, because last year we had F-Zero 99. Um, so yeah, we have that. And we also have Rhythm Paradise. Oh, wait, Rhythm Paradise. Oh, okay, that's the UK version. I think it might be Rhythm Heaven, Rhythm Heaven, because Heaven Paradise, it's basically the same. Rhythm Heaven, Groove. Rhythm Heaven Groove. No, it's Paradise Groove and PL regions. Yeah, so Rhythm Paradise is the UK name of the game. So I just happened to grab the UK version. So there is actually one, two, three, four, five games in the series, but the last game is Mega Mix, and I was wrong. I thought Mega Mix was 2017, 2018, and it was like at the end of the 3DS life cycle. It was actually 2015, 2016. It was 2015 in Japan, and then June 15th, 2016 in North America. So that was a lot. That was a lot older than I thought it was. I thought it was 2017, 2018. So this one is 10 years old. 10 years old. It'll be 11 years old by next year. So yeah, Brother Heaven. I was expecting a Rhythm Heaven game years ago. So I'm surprised we got. I'm surprised to take this on to get it. When I saw this, I could. When I saw this, I'm like, yeah, it's Rhythm Heaven. I don't really like Rhythm Heaven, to be honest. I don't like cried or anything. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at Metro Prime now. I do like the environments a lot. Like this gigantic chasm and its long bridge. This is really nice looking. Like that's pretty nice looking. I gotta say. The planet's called View Rose. It's like view. It's kind of blatant, but okay.
This is the unknown planet Vuros. Here, Samus finds a verdant jungle with a colossal tree at its center.
Floating jungle. Interesting.
In order to survive and escape this planet that she was unexpectedly transported to, Samus must scan stone figures and other relics to carve a path forward.
Ancient Lawarn are carved from a seal stone with identical dimensions to statues. So for a second mode is built in his forehead. Beetle variant nest, composed of hardened mud and clay, is spread enough that a single popular would shower it. Beetle nest, huh?
Alone, though, and horns, alien creatures living in the jungle.
Yeah, this is like I think Metroid was always intended to be a sort of I think Metroid was always intended to be a sort of aliens reference. Especially that's why there's literally a character called Ridley in the games, named after no, named after Ridley Scott.
Are waiting to strike. As she explores the planet, Samus is granted mysterious and ancient powers. Psychic abilities.
I mean, second abilities. It's like obvious.
These powers allow Samus to operate mechanisms.
Operate mechanisms. Open doors. I mean, you mean like every other ability you get in every other game? That's not the best way to start introducing this new ability.
They also allow her to control the trajectory of her beams.
That, on the other hand, is actually really cool. That's the coolest part about this.
But why were these powers bestowed upon Samus?
Oh, look, there's actually a walking NPC. There's actually NPCs who can talk to you and everything, and there's new ancients and chosen one. I mean, that's kind of like the Chozo from.
After being summoned to Vuros,
Oh yeah, Metroid's back too, of course, because
beyond
somehow
are beginning
Sax got his hand in Metroid. So my only problem with this is why didn't they announce any date for this? No red suit. See, for a second there, I thought that was a different character, but like a Sonic, but again, new suit. But no, that is Samus. It's just a red version of suit. But I mean, Samus always shows one. We know that. 2025. Like, why isn't there a window for this at all? I would say that maybe it's possible it could drop in May. That's a little close, but we don't have any titles dated for May, and this is the only thing I can think that could reasonably drop that time period. And I'm theorizing that because there's no dates dropped this direct, that the Switch 2 is probably dropping in June. Because I think Metroid Prime 4 is one of the few titles that could drop in May. Unless they decide to announce a new game in next week's direct. That's kind of Switch 1, and it's going before the thing comes out, and maybe there could be it's out in May instead. That's possible. But it'd be weird, I think. The only time we have that's announced and could drop there is Metroid Prime 4. But maybe they'd rather have this game drop after Switch 2 comes out with an upgrade patch. So you can get the game and have it play better on Switch 2. That's possible. But again, like the other option was maybe this is coming in May, and that's our May game. April's probably dead at this point because it's way. I mean, they'll probably have a shadow drop. I think they'll probably have a shadow drop next week. I'm guessing, but in terms of a new game, unlikely. In terms of a major new game, that's we type for that. And besides, April is April is very often missing a game release anyway, so that's not really too expected. But Prime 4 could potentially drop as early as May. It seems like it might be too tight, but at the same time, the Switch 2 I think is probably dropping in June because I actually checked the new app that they put up, and in the new app they put up, we have Switch 2 experience events starting a few days after the Switch 2 Direct next week on Wednesday, and they're going on every weekend except for a couple weekends here and there through April and May, but the end of May. So maybe June is when we get the Switch 2 release. So we can have a couple games in June, along with a couple games in June, especially Mario Kart 9. That'd be the main one, but there'd be a few more games as well. So there's a decent lap at the start. So I mean that's one reason they made why it could be June, but it's hard to say. I do think that we'll have at least a couple other games alongside it, and I'm guessing 3D Mario in spring. I think it'll be next March instead of being in fall, unless something else in fall. I mean, we already have most likely Pokemon Legends Z-A. I think that it says late 2025. I think that's probably coming in November. But there could be another title in either October or something else too. So that way there's at least another Switch 2 title. There's at least a Switch 2 exclusive coming right around the holiday season as well. So October, November. There's probably something coming around there. I think there's a decent chance we get DK, but we'll see. I still think there's a good chance we get Golden Sun as well because again, Camelot has been producing for 4 years. They've never done this before. So I think they're probably producing a new Golden Sun game, but it's possible it's a new IP, but I kind of doubt at this point. But it's not impossible it's a new IP. Although I think it's just more likely be Golden Sun. But yeah, so that covers the games I want to talk about. Virtual cards. The virtual card system is confusing a lot of people right now, and a lot of people are saying this is just a straight up inferior version of what we got right now. This is Nintendo trying to pull back on virtual cards. Well, let's watch this again and see what they're saying here, and I'll show you how the current system works.
With game cards, you can put a game featuring Mario in this Nintendo Switch console and a Legend of Zelda game in this one, freely inserting the games you have on hand into any console you want. But what if digital games could be as flexible and convenient as game cards?
So, what if digital games be flexible and convenient? I think a lot of people would say that digital games are already more convenient because digital games you can quickly switch between the different games, but they're not as flexible. They're stuck on one console, so that's the thing. They're way more convenient, but they're not as flexible. They're not anywhere near as flexible. With game cards, you can put them in any system and play them. So the idea here is clearly they're trying to say we're gonna try and allow you to treat your digital games like game cards, so you can share them with your family members. That's the point of this system. Also, so you can easily switch between consoles you own too. Because I think the big reason here is because, of course, Switch 2 is going to support these games as well. And they're like, well, you have all these games on your one console. What if you want to still use your old Switch or go to your new Switch 2? So that could be a reason why they bring this up.
Well, here's what we came up with. Introducing the virtual game card. In the future, virtual game cards can be used for digital games.
Okay, so here's the thing. Virtual game cards can be used for digital games. That might be implying that it's not mandatory.
When purchasing the digital version of the game, it will be loaded onto your console as a virtual game card, allowing you to play that title.
Okay, so what it's saying is that if you have it set as a virtual game card, any user registered on that console can play the game. That's how it works with digital games too. But the way digital games work is a little bit different because with digital games, it only works on the console that your profile is set as the primary console on. Your profile can only have one primary console. One. So that also could be a cause problem with switching to Switch 2, where maybe you want something to go back to your old Switch, so your Switch set your Switch 2 to your primary console, but what with the old one? You know, that could be a question mark there. Maybe this is their solution to that option, is to switch the primary console functionality to the game card instead of your profile.
Your digital games will be lined up as virtual game cards on a dedicated management screen.
So is this saying that in order to insert you have to go into that slot in order to pick it, because that would be less convenient than the other option, which is just selecting from your list? Like why can't I just go through my list and I already have my virtual game card. I already have my games all in here. Even my physical games, they're all listed in my sheet. They're all listed on my screen, and I can just choose one, and it says you need to enter the game card. Well, why can't I just choose a virtual game card list and it says insert game card, and you say yes, and then you're done.
Here, you can load and eject your virtual game cards.
Okay, it says, hang on.
And manage which games you can play on your console. You can load and eject your virtual.
Okay, load on this system, load on another system, lend to a family member. Okay, so load on this system is pretty obvious. Another system, they'll get into that a little bit, and a little bit of family, that's also thinking it. But options, what's in options? Based on what I've read, options might let you deactivate the virtual game card functionality, but I don't know for sure because I have to go and double check that thing.
Game cards and manage which games you can play on your console.
Oh, look at that! They're all interesting. Okay, so the virtual game cards are all set on the console all at once. It's not like it's interesting. So you see here, with a game card, you can only put one in your Switch, of course. So you put it in your Switch, and that's the only one that's filled in. Well, now you have your digital games too. They all have that checkbox here, so you can easily switch between them from here. You just have to do like low once, and then you can switch between any time.
If you have two Nintendo Switch consoles, you can use.
So some people are concerned here about them saying two. I don't think that's what it means. I think it's just saying if you have your profile on multiple consoles, you can switch your game cards between them. But let's follow up.
And load it onto the second.
So an error cache required only when loading and ejecting. So basically, if you take the virtual game card out of your current console, you need to be on the internet. And same thing when you load onto your current console, you need to be on the internet.
Now you can play this game on the second console.
Oh, and
Wherever and whenever you want. Just as if you had inserted a physical game card. With virtual.
so it's not saying you need a local connection for this. It doesn't say you need a local connection for this. It just says you need to be on the internet. Because the local connection is required for the lending system, but this does not say you need to have a local connection. It only says you need to be on the internet. So is this saying that if you have your profile on multiple Switch consoles, all you need to do is you need to go in there and say eject it from this console and load it on this one. Is that all you need to do? Because that's actually a really solid option. All it does is it sets the console as the console that you can play on without requiring to connect the internet. I'm pretty sure that's all it's saying, but we'll keep following it.
Virtual game cards, you can freely load and arrange which games you play
Yeah,
to two consoles.
this is up. Okay, they say here up to two consoles. So what if you have a third console? Is that game restricted? It's not. Maybe it just means two consoles at once. Because you can have your profile on many different consoles. The two consoles thing could be well, so you have Switch and Switch 2.
Local communication with your second console is required, but
Okay, it does say local communication required right here. Select the same user. Select link when the guy appears.
local communication with your second console is required, but only the first time.
Only the first. So is this saying that once you link them, then you're done? When you link them, you're done. You don't need to worry about this anymore. That could explain why you can only do it for two, though.
You can also lend out virtual game cards to your Nintendo account family group.
Okay, so a lot of people think that this is the only functionality here. They're getting this thing confused because they're thinking this is the only functionality here. This right here is the this right here is one functionality. Yes, this is an extra thing that they keep talking about. The virtual game cards option is you can lend games to your family members in your family group. It's only your family group. You can't you can have friends family group too if you want to, but they have to be in your family group. You can't just lend to a random person. But okay,
Connect to your family group member's console via local wireless when you want to lend the game.
okay. So that's the other thing to do. They say as well. Local wireless. That's kind of limiting. If it is just local wireless, then that's kind of disappointing. But it's like if you just hand your family member a game. You hand them a single game and say, yeah, here you can borrow this and bring it back whenever. This one I'm gonna give it back to you in 2 weeks.
Choose the title you're lending and who you're lending it to. And you're done.
Receive your game card.
On their own console.
Play as soon as you're ready.
You can only lend one game at a time to a particular person. Games can be
Yeah, so you can only lend one at a time. That's pretty limiting. The first option, the one that lets you transfer other consoles, that gives you some options here. It does gray them out here, so that means you cannot play them on your current console.
lent out for 2 weeks, after which they will automatically return to you.
Yeah, save data will not be erased. Of course not, because the save data saves the profile. That's also the biggest issue. Like a lot of people keep saying, well, this is more limiting because you can always set your games. You guys add your profile, your friends and family, and let them access your games that way. Well, yeah, but only if they're accessing your profile and your save data. So that's not this solution lets them play on their own profiles and they get their own save data now.
Making digital games even easier to use. Virtual.
By navigating to user settings, online license setting, and turning setting on, you can instead opt to connect to the internet to start up software. So, what this appears to be the case is that even though you can lend out the virtual game card, you can still play it as long as you connect to the internet. So that's actually that's literally the exact old functionality. That's literally the exact same old original functionality. So that right there basically confirms what people have been complaining about is that yes, you do in fact have access to the game cards on the original system. So you don't lose that functionality at all. You just have to connect the internet. Online this thing and turn the thing on. You can instead opt to connect the internet to start software.
Game card.
Okay. Let's go in more detail here. Yeah, so vertical game card feature for Nintendo Switch and Nintendo Switch 2 systems. Adds some of the flexibility of your physical game cards fit digital library. If you have two systems, you can digitally eject load games on one side another. You can even lend games members in a fan group. It still says two systems. Between systems, if you have two different systems like the same Nintendo account, you choose which system to play it on. Just like a physical game card, so you eject the virtual card from one system below another. Now, if you play that interconnection, other users can simply play it too. Yes, all users can simply play it too. So what I could do here is I could set my profile on my old Switch system, which my parents now have. My old Switch system is one that my parents now have. I can set that one up and set a number of digital games that I had there that they were playing and they couldn't play anymore after I took my profile off. I can set up out there and they can play those games now. You can play without interconnection. Okay, here. Now you can play it without interconnection. Other users' account system can play it too. That's the most important part. Other users on the account can play it too. You can also manage and load video game cards via your Nintendo account on the Nintendo website. So yeah. This is important. You play without interconnection. So the play without interconnection is the important part here. Based on what we saw in the video, you can still play with an interconnection. That's how the existing functionality works. As long as you have your profile on another Switch, you can play your games digitally by connecting to the internet, and that functionality is still there. That's not gone. You can still do that. Via local areas, also connect to the internet. You can lend one game per account for 14 days, less borrow turns. I think it's turn to borrow still have their save data, so there'll be a start with left off to borrow the game or the game. Both local wireless and internet connection are required for lending. Some games says games built only as part of Nintendo Switch Online membership can be lent out. Yeah. Available on Nintendo Switch Lite and Nintendo Switch OLED bundles in late April 2025. It's not there yet. I've not seen this update yet, but we'll test it when it comes out. Must link to a Nintendo Switch account to use retro game cards. Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games and Nintendo Switch 2 edition games can only be loaded on Nintendo Switch 2 system. This is important here. They make a distinction between exclusives and editions. This implies that there might be Nintendo Switch 2 editions of Nintendo Switch games. To move vertical game cards to these two systems, you must pair the systems via local wireless interconnection only when pairing the systems for the first time. So what this is saying is that the first time you do this, the first time you connect your two systems up, you must pair them using local wireless and an interconnection. But once you do that, once you pair systems up, you can exchange them freely. But it does say up to 2 systems total can be linked for our Nintendo account. So basically, this is saying is that you can now set 2 primary systems for your Nintendo account. Basically, is what it's saying. So that's the only disappointing factor. You can't do this for more than 2 systems. So it is more flexible, but it's not as flexible as we would have liked. I thought it would be nice if you could do it for Aces. I don't know if people want, but you can't do it that way. But as far as I can tell, this is fine. It probably could be better. Like, I think that you should be able to lend games to in your group, your fan group, just via the internet. Why do you need to have a local connection? Why can't you just lend it via the internet? I think that's kind of dumb. I like the system though of lending it to them, for a set amount of time. I think that it could be more flexible too if you could set amount of days. Like say, rather than 14 days, why can't you set it for more days? Why can't you just like say, okay, well, just set it back to me in a month, or 3 months. That and if you want to send it back early, that's fine. Like I don't know why you can't change toggle this to send it back sooner. But other than that, I don't see anything wrong with this. This isn't doing anything except adding to the current system. Maybe if you go over to demos and some online games. There's one thing I'm not seeing here, and that's the comment that people are saying that there's like a small text thing saying that you can supposedly there's some sort of small text here saying that you can use this system. It's like you can deactivate the functionality. It doesn't look like that's the case, but there is a text right here at the end here, that says you can authenticate the internet as a software. So you can still do that, which is the old functionality. That the old functionality is still there as far as I can tell. So yeah, it's basically just the old functionality the way it works right now, with new stuff added onto it. That's why I'm saying here. Now, let us go and switch over to our Switch. So from what I'm seeing here, the option is going to go right here. So it's going to go between controllers and system settings. So as you can see here, I have right now I have Suikoden 1 and 2 Remaster in here. This game is currently in the system, so that's it's got the slot highlighted, and this is not. I'm done with Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. I'm borrowing this game over to my sister soon, so my niece and nephews can play the game, because they saw that they really liked it. They wanted to try it out. So yeah, we're gonna borrow that over, and let my sisters try it out. So that's fun. So I'm gonna do that. But if I had a virtual system, I could also lend it out virtually too, for a couple weeks, and they try it for a couple weeks, and when they're done, they're done. But here, this is a digital game. So what would happen when you set the virtual card system is this will also get this little symbol here too, and then you can set it up on your current system, or I could have a second system, connect that, and set it there. And if I have multiple people in that system, they'll be able to access my game, access the games too. And that's for digital games. So, okay, let's kind of go here. Like, this is my dad's profile. He occasionally he hasn't played it on the system that much. This one time he came over. He wanted to play on my system. He wanted to play on NSO, and by his own save files. So he logged into his account on my system, and his data transferred over, and he was able to play. But back on the system I gave them, my profile was still up there. Okay, my profile was still on that system, and initially I left that system as my primary console. Is there a way to specify, show here where the primary console is? Customer support, social media, blah blah. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here, but basically, your primary console is the console that you first log into. You have to remove yourself from a console and then log in another console, and that'll become your primary console. So that's how that works. Once the console is your primary console, any games that are on this console, any digital games on this console, anyone on that system can play without having to connect to the internet. But if this is not your primary console, then you can still play games on your profile. You go and use your profile. You can play games on there. So I can go in Snake Pass. Why did it choose the profile? Heck. It's already set to mine. I don't get it. Which profile is this? This should be my profile. It's like we're having right now, but whatever. But basically, anyone, if it is your primary console, anyone on this console can play the games that are digital. If, however, this is not my primary console and I use my profile on this console for my own games, the games I purchased, I go in here, I pick this, I choose my profile, and I have to connect the internet in order to access that game. Once I get the internet, I can play that game. If I let my account, if I log into another Switch console with my profile, and they use my profile, they can play games that I own. But they have to use my profile. They can't use their own profiles on that system. So that's what the whole lending thing is for. The lending thing is to limit out there that way. But I don't think, as far as I can tell, just look at the old functionality changes. What it says here is that you can still enable the option to just log in by connecting the internet. So that option is still there. So as far as I can tell, the virtual game card system doesn't add anything. It doesn't remove any functionality that's already here. All it does is add new functionality. So I don't know what people are complaining about. I think there's confused, or there's like they're all like assuming that it must be a bad thing. So they're just making assumptions that it must be a bad thing. So it can't be that it's just, it's not as good as it should be probably, but it's not an inherently worse system than the previous system, because if it's just adding new functionality, it literally cannot be worse than the current system. You're not removing anything. You're just adding new functionality. So these arguments are kind of dumb. Is what I'm saying here. Anyway, that's all I had for today. But that